Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 240. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Michael Ainslie, author, former president and the CEO of Sotheby, the former president and the CEO of the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and the former director of Lehman Brothers. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Patience. How are you today?
I'm okay. I know the clan is anxious to hear your story. So let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own business?
Well, I was very lucky. I grew up in a small town in East Tennessee. I had really great parents. They were demanding, but they were loving and nurturing. And my father taught me a lot about life and about treating people with respect. And it got me off on a good track. But I was from a family with no money. I grew up in a small town and with modest means. But I was very fortunate to get a great education. I went to Vanderbilt University in Nashville. And then after a year of traveling overseas on what was called a Corning World Travel Fellowship, I went to Harvard Business School on a scholarship. And that really set me off on a wonderful life and career of making some fairly interesting calls as I went along and ended up in different organizations. Unfortunately, I get bored pretty easily, so I changed jobs every 5 or 6 years, and it seemed like to some people like I had not much sense to my career, but I view it as always moving upward. And the thing I love is managing and leading people with great talent, art experts, preservation experts, different people, but with different exceptional talent.
Why do you do what you do?
I love complexity. I love things that aren't easy. And the reason I wrote this book, it's called A Nose for Trouble, is really to teach my young friends, my children, my grandchildren. I have 8 grandchildren. I have about 500 young Posse scholars. I'll tell later about the Posse Foundation that I've been a mentor to. And I want them to know that life is not about the easy things happening every day. It's about meeting challenges and dealing with very difficult circumstances, but learning from it and not making the same mistake twice, and really getting on with your life, but in improving the way you handle the next problems.
What have you learned from business as a whole?
I've learned that highly ethical behavior is the only way to go. You have to be extremely honest. You have to be very clear in communicating with people. You have to develop a real clear strategy, simple but clear, and you've got to really repeat it over and over and over. You've got to keep telling people, here is what we're doing and why we're doing it. And you've got to be a leader. You've got to show through your actions the ethical behavior and the kind of lifestyle you have that you really want to create a culture that is going to succeed. That's what I've learned.
Let's put man aside. How did you know you are successful?
Well, that's an interesting question. I never quite viewed myself as successful. I viewed myself as getting better, but never being good enough. My parents, I was born in Tennessee, but my family is Scottish. And I think when you're born in the Scottish Highlands, or you come from that area, you have a kind of a pessimism a bit. You have to really work hard to prove yourself every day. That's the way my father was, and that's the way I've been. And so finally, actually, at age 76, I do feel a little bit of satisfaction with what I've done and where I've gone. But success is all in the definition. And to me, it's about just getting better and doing things better and leading people in a more positive way.
You mentioned you're 76. Do you think about retiring?
No, I don't know the R word. I have so much energy. About 5 years ago, I stopped eating all meat and chicken. I'm basically a vegetarian. I eat a little bit of fish, and it gave me a whole new level of energy. I lost 20 pounds. For a while, I was pure vegan, and that got a little boring. But now I would call myself. My daughter calls me a casual pescatarian. So I think a lot of your energy comes from what you eat. I mean, we are just, we what we eat is what makes us. So I encourage people to consider the meatless alternative.
Wow. So that's your secret, having all this energy. What is one thing that no one knows about you?
Well, when I was young, I was very, very shy. I was very almost introverted. And most people can't believe that, because I now like to talk and I like to be out front and I like to take a leadership role. But that was not natural. I had to learn that. And I think that's a surprise to people.
What grounds you?
What grounds me is a belief in the value of family. I have a strong faith. And I have a strong belief in doing the right thing, doing what's really. I think I have a fairly good idea of what's right and what's wrong, and that really is what grounds me.
Do you have mentors or coach in your business?
I have over the years, absolutely. I had a mentor named Dean Leslie Rollins. He was the dean of fellowships at Harvard Business School, and he really set me off on the Corning Fellowship to travel around the world. He created that fellowship along with Mr. Amo Houghton, the chairman of Corning Glass. And I would go to him anytime in my earlier career when I was thinking about making a change or doing something big, getting married or getting divorced, which I did only once. Fortunately, I met Suzanne, my wonderful wife, when I was in my 40s. She's now been my wife for 33 years. And when I go back to what really grounds me, it's my wife. She is really my soulmate and my anchor.
What is the most valuable thing your mentors has told you?
Well, I guess they really did teach me or tell me that leadership is about being highly ethical. Too many leaders today get off on the wrong course. They get involved with their own ego and not with the good of their organization or their cause. And I had very good mentors. Another one was the managing partner of McKinsey, which is a consulting firm that I joined after Harvard Business School. His name was Ron Daniel. He's still a very close friend and mentor. And he just is one of these wonderful people who always knows the right thing to do.
Let's talk about your book. Why this book now?
Well, the book is I wrote it for two reasons. One is to, as I said earlier, I wanted to pass on some of my lessons that I've learned to my young friends, my Posse scholars, my own children. I have 5 children and 8 grandchildren. But there's a second reason that I wrote the book. In my opinion, the Lehman story that has been put forth is not accurate. There's been a long period of talk about what did Lehman do wrong, and I think the wrong was done by the federal government and the Secretary of the Treasury. So a lot of my book is about setting the record straight on the Lehman bankruptcy.
Why did you call the book A Nose for Trouble? Or who came up with the title?
One of my friends I was talking to at lunch one day, and he said, "Tell me about your book." And I said, "Okay, here you go." And I told him about my teenage years when I almost died from a very rare autoimmune disease called Addison's disease. I got over that. Then I almost died in Vietnam in a helicopter, actually a small airplane, which almost crashed in a war zone. And then I went into my first job, and after McKinsey, I almost bankrupted a company. And about that time, he said, Michael, you have a nose for trouble. Everything you've gotten into in your life, every decade, you've gotten into really big trouble. And when you add into that the Sotheby's price fixing scandal, which I wasn't involved in but was close to, and the Lehman bankruptcy, I think you can see why I called it a nose for trouble.
Wow. Okay. I know you said you wrote this book for your grandchildren and your children to read, learn from it, and also to close the truth about Lehman Brothers. But how can we read this book? How will it help for someone outside there?
Well, it's written for the layman. It's not written in any kind of technical language. In fact, I've had very, very positive feedback from people who say, aha, I finally begin to understand what went on with Lehman. So I think it's written for everyone. And so I think that the general reader will find it very illuminating to see what all went on. It was a crazy time back in 2008 when the federal government decided to stop providing financing to Lehman Brothers at a time when they were providing financing to every other financial institution on the planet. You know, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, AIG, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Bear Stearns. Everybody was getting financing, but for reasons that only Hank Paulson knows, he decided to stop providing financing to Lehman Brothers. And frankly, I think he made a huge mistake. I think it will go down as one of the great public policy mistakes in history.
Do you think that is the one which caused the Lehman Brothers to go into bankruptcy then?
Absolutely. The week before we went into bankruptcy, our bank, which was Chase Bank, JP Morgan Chase, got some hint that we were going to not be supported by the federal government anymore, and they started demanding that we give them cash as what's called cash collateral. Literally in the last 3 days, they took $8.6 billion of our cash collateral, which basically is like taking money out of somebody's bank account and then they can't pay their bills. That's what happened. That didn't need to happen. They could have left that there and they would have been just fine.
What does the Posse Foundation success teach us about higher education?
The Posse Foundation teaches us that there is so much raw talent in our public school system. Kids that are not high achievers on the SAT scores because they can't afford the SAT courses and all the preparation that a lot of wealthier kids get. But we've put now 9,200 Posse scholars into elite universities over the last 25 years, and they're graduating at remarkable rates, 90%. They're becoming presidents of things on their campus. 75% have become president or founders of an organization. And they're going on to become great leaders in our communities, in our world. So the idea that public schools aren't producing strong leaders and strong scholars is just wrong.
If you are going to keep a note to yourself in your pocket every day, what would be written on it?
Stay humble. Be honest, and don't borrow money.
Don't borrow money?
Right.
How will you survive? Let's say for the startups, the one who want to leave their 5 to 9 job, they want to start their own business. How would they survive if they don't get a loan?
Well, I did borrow money when I was younger, so I guess it's probably, you make a good point. At some points, you need to borrow money to build a business, but what I'm really saying is don't over borrow. Don't borrow too much. That's what gets people in trouble. That's what got Lehman in trouble. That's what all of the investment banks were borrowing too much money.
Okay, let's say if your business was down to its last $100, how would you invest it?
I would invest it in going to my best customer and saying, what is it you really want me to do for you to expand your business with my company? And I'll spend this $100 to make that commitment.
Apart from your own book, what is the best business book you have ever read?
That's a tough question. I'm going to have to pass on that one. I've read a lot of different business books, but I don't know what I would call the best one.
What are you going to be doing in 5 years' time?
I'm going to be working hard to improve my community. I'm on my planning and zoning board here in Florida. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be traveling to see my kids and grandkids. They live all over the country, in California and Colorado and Georgia and New York. And I'm going to be having fun. I love to play golf. I love to hike. I love to swim. I ride a bicycle most days, about 10 miles. So I'm going to be enjoying life, and but still very engaged.
You feel like you succeeded, or you are on the way?
I'm on the way.
You are 76. Surely there is some success there.
I've had some success. But I don't like to be complacent. Complacency is the real enemy.
And where do we find this book? And how can we connect with you?
You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on a Kindle. You can buy it on your Kindle. You can. There's also an audio book, and you can find all of that information at my website, which is called anosefortrouble.com.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. So, Clan, there will be more from Mike in a moment. If you are listening on one of the many podcasting platforms rather than my website and are encouraged by Mike's journey, go to Online Success Journey for portion of bonus of the interview. And the Online Success Journey is a wonderful membership community built for people searching for the path to success. We are one big clan and can be part of this community for free. Click on part 2 of Michael's journey or over 200 other journeys that are available and learn how you can find the right path for your own online success journey. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Michael.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.